Hello, OpAmp here, and today we're going to explore tension wrench and pick placement in a variety of keyways. You can see I have several locks laid out here. We're going to go through each one of them and discuss the tensioning strategy, why you would select one type of tension wrench versus another, and then pick placement within that keyway. I'm not going to go through pick selection in terms of the shape of a pick. That's a whole other topic we'll cover at a later date. So stay tuned. I'm going to get one of these locks set up and we'll go through and explore each one. I've got some of my most often used tension tools here. These are bottom of the keyway style and top of the keyway style. Just because they're bottom or top of the keyway does not mean that that's what they're exclusively used for. And the name of the game often in tensioning is creativity. So these bottom of the keyway style are sort of bent in a long Z, sometimes referred to as like a wiper blade, and they come in different thicknesses or widths here. And basically I like these because they're very rigid, and when you're tensioning a lock, a lot of that feedback actually comes through the tension wrench. A lot of people, when they start out, they're trying to feel this feedback through their pick, and a lot of that feedback, especially when you get into security pins and high security locks, is actually coming from that tension wrench. If you've heard somebody refer to counter rotation, you're going to feel that through your wrench. So it's important to really get that good feedback. And this top of the keyway style also comes in different thicknesses, and most often we'll have a long and a short end, again, depending on what's appropriate for your lock, and often has little serrations to help grip that top of the lock. And I'll show you how those fit in and how those work. Now, a style of tension tool that I pretty much never use is this one right here, this sort of 90-degree bent wiper insert. And I don't use this because it is so flexible that it really deadens that feedback. And if you're picking something with, for example, serrated pins, you might not feel the little bump as well as with these other tools. So these come often with a lot of beginner kits. The fact is, unless there's a special case where you really need it, I usually don't use them. Now, when we refer to bottom or top of the keyway, we're really referring to the bottom or top of the keyway here. And I can show you with a pick. You can see right here, this would be the top of the keyway. This is the bottom of the keyway. If you need a good review of the terminology, there's posted below a link to one of our Mentorship Monday videos where we go through all the components of the lock and terminology. And then right here is the warding. So sort of the little curved bits of metal that are protruding into the keyway that make it harder for you to pick. Now, at the bottom of the keyway, you're going to be taking your tool and placing it in the bottom of the keyway and then using that to apply tension. And what we refer to when we say tension is really pushing down on this to get rotational force on the plug. And that hopefully will bind up some pins. You'll push those pins, you'll get the lock open. Now, top of the keyway, you're going to take your tool here, and there's a little notch, and that notch helps you set the depth of this, because if you go too deep, you'll actually rub up against the pin, and you may artificially feel like it's binding. So I'm going to slide this tool in until it stops, and then I can use that to apply that rotational force, that tension on the lock. So I'm just going to go through a few examples of my thought process when approaching a lock to tension it, and sort of show you the placement of the pick within that lock, depending if you're using top or bottom of the keyway. So I'll be right back. This is a master lock number 141. This is a great beginner lock some of you may already own, and this lock can be tensioned from the top of the keyway or the bottom of the keyway. You got some great room up here to fit in a top of the keyway tensioner, and on the bottom here you can fit in a bottom of the keyway tensioner. In terms of your pick placement, it's really a wide open keyway, and you can really place your pick up here off of this ledge, or even pick all the way from the bottom. Is also an option. When you do top of the keyway tension, you want to make sure that your tensioner does not hit and bind that first pin, or you might get some feedback that's not really there. So I can pick right from the bottom here very easily with pretty much any thickness pick that I want and get that open no problem. I can also pick from bottom of the keyway right here, and you'll see that then my pick is sort of going to rest a little bit on the tension tool there. If you can sort of see, it's right here resting on the tension tool and sort of leveraging off of that tool. So really either way will work for a lock like this if you have a pick that will fit above that bottom of the keyway tension tool. So I've got my key and knob cylinder here with the Schlage style keyway, and the first thing I'm going to be looking at is where can I tension from? Do I need to tension from the bottom or from the top? In this case I have plenty of room in the top, and so I'm going to select that as my tension and leave that keyway wide open to pick from. The other issue is pick placement. Now I would love to be able to pick from all the way at the bottom here, but as you can see, when I put my pick in, I hit this little piece of warding on the top left. And with a Schlage style, most often you'll be picking from this ledge on the left here. So you would go in here and be able to pick, and that allows you to get all the way up to the top of that keyway. I'm just going to turn this slightly so you can see. So I'm going to take my pick and put it right on that ledge, and that will let me get up. So if I take my tensioner, place that in the top of the keyway now, and now I have lots of room to work unobstructed with that pick. So now I've got a lock that's probably of interest to a lot of you, and this is an American Lock 1100 series, and this is a lock that a lot of people start on with security pins, and the keyway for this initially might look a little daunting with all that warding, but the fact is you can actually sneak a 20 thousandths or 22 thousandths pick right down the middle, and even 25 thousandths will just squeeze in there, maybe with a little bit of rubbing. So since I can use that whole keyway, I'm going to select top of the keyway tension. I'm going to go for my 50 thousandths pry bar right here, and that'll nestle right in the top. But if you see here, I'm barely in because this end is so short. So that's a case where I'm going to use that long end. And I'm going to come right here, get my tension, and now I can pick from the bottom of the lock. So I have this FABe 8263 shutter lock here in the vise, and with this one you sort of have a Yale style keyway, and so you have this piece of warding here, piece of warding here. I do have room here for top of the keyway tension. Now the question is, where can I pick from? I could try to pick from this ledge, but the pins almost hit it. I could come over right here and actually pick up through that piece of warding. So that really leads me to want to use top of the keyway tension so that I can have the rest of that keyway available for picking. So I have a little bit of a thinner top of the keyway tensioner, and that fits quite nicely in the lock there. And then I can come along with in the bottom of the lock and pick like that. So I have this key and knob with a quick set style keyway, and the first thing I'm going to do again is look, where can I tension from? I can definitely tension from the top there, and you can see I can fit that 50 thousandths tensioner right in there really nicely. And now I'm going to come right here and say, can I pick from the bottom? No. But there is this little ledge on the side, and that gives me great access to the pins. In fact, I can put a 25 thousandths pick in there if I wanted to. So now I've got this FABe lock, and you can see in the top here of the keyway, we have nice space that could probably work for top of the keyway tension. We've got this warding on the right side that's going to really prevent me from using a pick all the way from the bottom, but I do have this little ledge here which gives me some nice access to the pins. Now I might be able to put a bottom of the keyway tension right here, and that wouldn't obstruct anything either. So I'm going to go and put my top of the keyway tension in, so you can see what's happening with this is there's a very slight curvature here to the keyway, and what happens is when I put in that tension wrench and I'm tensioning clockwise, it just slips down. Now if I was to tension counterclockwise, so turning this way, it would sort of cam in to that keyway up here and over here. But going this way, we're just going to fall down. So I am going to try that bottom of the keyway, and I'm just using, again, this sort of Z wiper insert. And that works nicely, and I still have unobstructed access to that keyway. So now we have this metal brand lock with this very imposing looking warding, and initially I thought that I would use bottom of the keyway tension because I really have to lift those pins up very high to get them set. But when I used my bottom of the keyway tensioner here, you'll see it goes in and then actually rotates down, and it was actually pinching and binding on the bottom of the lock here so that the plug wasn't really able to freely turn. So that was giving me really poor feedback. And so then I said, okay, let me see, maybe I can fit my top of the keyway tension in here. And in fact, I can. You can see it sort of just fits in there, and fits in there quite nicely. So now the issue was, how am I going to pick this lock? What's my pick placement? And I do have these a couple pieces of warding to work off of. And the technique that I came up with, and again, this is sort of creativity is the name of the game, and lockpicking is a lot of fun puzzle solving. So I started on this piece of warding, got the pin partially up, then hopped over to the right piece of warding and pushed it the rest of the way. And once I figured out that technique, this was really not such a scary lock after all. So now I have this CISA or CISA lock, and similar to the FABe, it's got a little bit of a curve here. So you might think, let's use bottom of the keyway tension. And I got my tensioner right here, and I'm going to insert that. And when I tension, you can actually see it drops down right into the bottom of the lock here. And that's actually a problem because when I press there, it actually cams into the side of the cylinder and binds this up. So you'll be picking along and going, oh, for some reason I can't get counter rotation. Or maybe you've actually picked the lock open and it won't rotate because this tool is digging in and causing so much friction around the plug that it won't turn. So let's see what we can do. Well, again, I have that little curvature there, but my top of the keyway tool fits right in there very tightly and actually won't come out. So that's a viable option. Now, in terms of picking, I have, again, some warding on the left side here, and that's a nice place to pick from. Now, this is a pretty extreme little curve in here, but I can actually go up between some of the warding in here. So I have this low profile pick so I can sort of slide in and then get up. We have a GG brand lock, and GG is often known for some kind of crazy keyways, and you can see this one is no different. It's got kind of a little zigzag there. And originally I thought maybe I could tension from here with top of the keyway tension, and it turns out that I don't have a tensioner that actually will fit in there. And I didn't have a tensioner that would fit in this way either. So then I thought maybe bottom of the keyway tension would be good. But what happens is when I put in my bottom of the keyway tension, I actually obstruct a little bit of my height for picking. And so I'm actually picking off of this ledge, and it just constrains me just enough to make it a little more difficult. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll get creative. I can use my bottom of the keyway tensioner and the top of the keyway right here. And as long as I don't put it in too far so that I'm rubbing on that first pin, I can use that for top of the keyway tension. Now, the other thing is, where am I going to pick from? Well, I need a location that I can reach those pins. And basically, I'm going to be reaching through the warding up into the pin stacks there to push them up. So I can go from right here with a 15 thousandths pick, right on that bottom edge, and I can actually get up there. And you can see actually I hit one of these, one of the first pins, and it rotated slightly. This is full of security pins. So there's a lot of serrated pins in here, and I'm sure I tipped one of those serrations. So again, I can come from there and then just come right through that lock. I hope you found this video informative. If you'd like to see some of these locks in more detail picked and gutted, please see my YouTube channel, OpAmp. And for more Locksport videos, subscribe here at Lockpickers United. Thank you for watching. OpAmp back with an important announcement. We're trying something new on Mondays, which is announcing those that have attained the next belt level. For this first week, we're happy to congratulate Curious Lockpicker for attaining Brown Belt. Way to go. If you would like to be included in these announcements when you get a new belt, just email us at unitedlockpickers@gmail.com and let the whole world know. Thanks for watching.